આજે આપણે સમક્ષ ફંક્શન્સ ઓફ સેવરલ વેરિયેબલ વિષય ઉપર ડૉક્ટર અજય એસ ગોર, જેઓ કડી કોલેજના પ્રિન્સિપાલ છે, સાયન્સ અને આર્ટ્સ કોલેજના, તે આપણી સાથે ફંક્શન્સ ઓફ સેવરલ વેરિયેબલ વિશે વ્યાખ્યાન આપશે.
Good afternoon. Friends, we know that evolution is a great natural phenomenon. From bioscience, we know that from amoeba to Amitabh. In computer science, we know that from 286 to Pentium and Core to Duo. Likewise, in mathematics, we know that we will start a journey with a point, then collection of point, that is a set, then the relation between two sets, function, its domain, range, and so many things. We have started with a function of single variable, then extend up to 2 variable, 3 variable, 4 variable, and today we'll talk about a function of several variable. We know about the function of one variable, that is y is equal to fx, in which x is the independent variable, and from the value of x we can find the value of y, that is y. We know about function of one variable, that is y is equal to fx, in which x is an independent variable, and we get the value of y from x. And today we are going to expand the idea of function to include function with more than one variable. For example, consider the functions below. First, function of f of x and y. Here x and y are independent variable, and value of function x and fxy depends on two variables, x as well as y. The first function is given as f of xy is equal to 2x square plus y square. As we input the value of x and y by taking the square of x, multiplying it by 2, and then adding y square, we are getting the value of function f xy, which is a function of two variable. Likewise, g x y z. So here g is a function of three variable, that is x, y, and z, and we are getting the value of g by multiplying 2 with x with e raised to y raised to z. Or the next function is with four variables, that is x1, x2, x3, x4. So the value of h we are getting by 2x1 minus x2 plus 4x3 plus x4. Hopefully we can see the notation for the function of several variable, which is similar to the notation we have used with the function of single variable function. We will evaluate the function fxy for point 23 and second point 0.5y. Here, when we put the value of x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 3 in a function of fxy, we get the value of f23 as 2 into 2 square plus 3 square, that is equal to 2 into 4 plus 9, which gives the value of function fxy at point 23 as 17. In second, when we put the value of x is equal to 5 and keeping y as it is, we get the value of function fxy at 0.5y as 2 into 5 square plus y square, that is 50 plus y square. Now let us move to the function of two variables. In function of two variables, we have two important things. One is a set A, that is a set of all order pairs of real numbers, that is called domain of the function. And second, the rule which associate each order pair with the value of f, that is one and only one value of f, that is denoted by z, which is equal to f of x, y. Unless the domain is given, we will assume the domain of the set of all points for which the equation is defined. For example, consider the function f of xy is equal to 3x square plus y square. Here for any value of x and for any value of y, the function fxy is defined. So we can say that the domain of fxy is the entire xy plane, and every order pair in xy plane will produce a real value for function f. This is something interesting. Now consider another function of two variable, that is gxy, and here the function is defined as 1 upon square root x into y. Here the domain of gxy is a set of all points xy in the xy plane such that the product of xy is greater than 0, because in the denominator we have given the square root of product of x and y. So in real numbers, square root of negative number it is not possible, and even for 0 it will be infinite. So for positive x and positive y, xy remain positive. Similarly for negative x and negative y, again the product xy remain positive. So the domain of this function will be the first quadrant and the third quadrant shown in the figure. Let us find the domain of another function. Here the function is given by f of xy is equal to square root 225 minus x square minus y square. The domain of fxy is a set of all points that satisfy the inequality 25 minus x square minus y square, that must be greater than or equal to 0, because again negative number has no real root. Here that means 25 should be greater than or equal to x square plus y square, that is the value of x square plus y square must be less than or equal to 25, and this will give us the circle. So the value of circle is x square plus y square is equal to 25. So all the values on the circle and inside the circle, this will satisfy for the domain of this function. So this highlighted area is the domain of f. This is just the graphical representation of a function of two variable. Here the xy plane is given, which is the domain of f, and for any value shown in the dark part in the bottom, we are getting the value of function z is equal to fxy. So the given curve and is the value of z for the corresponding value of the domain. So this gives us the three-dimensional figure of a function of two variables, z is equal to fxy. Now let us think about the behavior of the functions. Here we are considering two functions, fxy is equal to sine x square plus y square upon x square plus y square, and another function is gxy is equal to x square minus y square upon x square plus y square. Here let us think x and y both approaches to 0. In the next figure let us think as we take the value of x towards 0, that is here we are taking the value of x minus 1, minus 0.5, minus 2 and 0. Similarly from this side 1, 0.5, 0.2 and 0. So the value of x approaches towards 0. Similarly the value of y from negative towards 0 and from positive towards 0. So when we take the value of x and y which approaches toward 0, we get the value in the given circle, and at this point we can see the value near this box is 0.999. Again this is 1, this is again 0.999, this is value 1, again this is 0.999, this is 1, again this is 0.999 and this is 1. So all the value surrounding this shows that when x approaches to 0 and y approaches to 0, the value of function xy is nearly 1. So when x and y approaches to 0 simultaneously, the value of function f is tends to 1, while in another function, that is gxy, when we approach the value of x towards 0 in the similar pattern, from negative to 0, from positive to 0, and the value of y which again approaches to 0 from negative and positive. Here in the neighborhood of this circle, that is a 0 0, we got the value, this is 0, this is 1, again this is 0, this is 1, again value of gxy is 0, value of gxy is 1, again this is value of gxy is 0, the value of gxy is minus 1. So near the value of 0 0, the value of gxy is not unique, or it is not approaching to a single value. Here it is again 0 1 0 minus 1. So the behavior of two functions is different. We see that in fxy, when x and y approaches to 0, we see that the value of f was approaching to 1, while in gxy, this function, when the value of x and y approaches to 0, the value of gxy is not fixed. Sometimes it is 0, sometimes it is positive 1, sometimes it is negative 1. So this shows the behavior of function f and g are different. And this shows that the guesses based on the numerical evidence are correct, and thus we write limit when xy approaches to 0 0, the value of fxy, that is sine x square plus y square upon x square plus y square, that is 1, while the function, the limit of the function x square minus y square upon x square plus y square, that is gxy, which was not fixed because it was ranging from minus 1 to plus 0 to plus 1, and that is why we will say that the limit of this function does not exist. Now let us move to the general definition of a function when the limit of a function exists. In general, we use the notation limit xy tends to ab, fxy is equal to L. This indicates that the value of fxy, function fxy, approach to the number L as the point xy approaches to the point ab along any path that stays within the domain of f. In other words, we will say that we can make the value of fxy, that is the value of the function, as close to L, which we call the limit of that function, as we like by taking the point xy sufficiently close to the point ab but not exactly equal to ab. A more precise definition is here. Let f be a function of two variables whose domain D includes point arbitrarily close to the order pair ab. Then we say that the limit of function fxy as xy approaches to ab is L. In notation, we will write the limit xy tends to order pair ab, fxy is equal to L if for every epsilon greater than 0 there is a corresponding number delta greater than 0 such that when xy belongs to the domain D and the distance between order pair ab and order pair xy is less than delta, that is 0 less than square root x minus a square plus y minus b the whole square, which is less than delta, then modulus of fxy minus L is less than epsilon. This shows that when order pair ab is very close to xy, means xy is very close to ab, its approaches to order pair ab, then the value of function fxy will be near to L, which is the limit of that function. Other notation for the limit in the definition is limit x tends to a. Instead of writing order pair, we can write this way also. Limit x tends to a, y tends to b, fxy is equal to L. We will say fxy tends to L as xy tends to ab. Thus, definition 1 says that the distance between fxy and L can be made arbitrarily small by making the distance from xy to ab sufficiently small. So here the distance between xy and ab, we call it as a delta. We can take delta so small such that the distance between fxy and L are arbitrary, very small, means they are almost near to each other. Graphically we can see that here, considering AB as a center of the circle and delta as the radius of this circle, that means this circle shows that, and if point xy is inside the circle, then always distance between xy and AB will be less than delta. And whenever we take or keep point xy as closer to AB, we will get the value of function f just near L, that is between L minus epsilon and L plus epsilon. So to take the value as close to L, we have to find this delta such a way that xy approaches to AB. This will give us the function of value f very close to L, and this L will give us the limit of a function fxy. In another way, looking at the three-dimensional figure, say this S is the surface which shows the value of function fxy. Xy domain, this xy plane is our domain. If we take this point as AB, again this is a circle with center AB and radius delta. So if we keep xy within that circle in the domain, then the value of function f is shown here. It will be this circle, and this circle shows that this point is L and this is having a radius epsilon. So we can get the value of function fxy within that circle. So we'll get that the function fxy is very close to L as this point AB approaches to this point xy approaches to AB. So when we keep our point fxy within this domain, we will get the value of function fxy in that region, and this will show the